you got to build. You got to build those layers. You got to keep growing. You got to keep moving forward. And we're going to talk about that here today. So, Tom, that's a great segue. I love that. I love it. You didn't even, this is what happens when you work together for so long. You start reading my mind.
I have the iceberg right here.
There you go. There you go. Well, today, on that note, today we're going to talk mindset. And if you've been here before, you might have heard this, but I took it kind of in a different direction to some extent. And so, mindset here is 100% of this business. How you think dictates what you do dictates what you get. And how you think is going to be what gets you through. Now, I'm going to talk about 4 phases that you're going to be going through here. The thing is no matter where you are, whether it's here, whether it's starting up a new hobby, whether it's taking on some other venture, whether it's marrying into a family, you are going to be going through phases. And that's called a learning curve, right? You're growing, you're learning, you're adapting to your new normal, your new situation, your new challenge. So the first phase is the excitement phase. You feel lighter, right? You're better at handling those initial setbacks because you feel like you're armored. Like, I'm pumped. That doesn't bother me. It doesn't matter what little things are thrown my way. I'm motivated. I know what's going to happen here. I'm excited, right? Challenges feel small because you know what the end result is. You've seen it. You know that you can and will achieve this if you just stay the course, right? You've seen other people do that. You've seen other people win. You've seen a lot of people win. You know that this is going to be your reality if you just stay the course. So you're pumped, right? You're getting started. Maybe you just get to quit your job at some point, right? Maybe that's a big thing. Like, I know that if I stay the course, I get to quit my other job and do this full time. Maybe it's I get to get out of the field, right? Eventually, I'm going to have enough money coming in where I don't have to be meeting with clients anymore. I don't have to make that a part of my day. It actually, in fact, costs me more to do that than it does to run my giant, massive agency. And so that's where the real passive income comes in. Your income's not tied to your feet. You know that that could be your reality if you stick it out. That's exciting, right? The promise of experiences. Travel. We talked about where you could possibly go with some of these carriers, taking your family on trips, time with your kids, time with your spouse, being present, being able to be at every ball game, every dance recital, every school pickup, every school drop off. Other experiences, being able to go to your friend's bachelorette party across the world, being able to travel and live somewhere for a month out of the year, being able to pursue things like starting up other businesses, charity organizations, being able to give back to your community, being able to donate to causes that you really care about. This promise of this new life that you didn't realize you could have is exciting as long as you stay the course. Now you have all that here, right? You can log into any one of these calls and see other people winning. You can hear from other people who have made it where you're trying to go. And you know that they got there just by following this system that we have here. The steps are outlined. It's called Summit. They're outlined. Maybe you can't necessarily see the top of the mountain. Maybe you can't see the top of that staircase, but you can see the next step. And then you can see the next one. And then the next one. And all you need to do is keep stepping. Before you know it, you're going to be up 30 steps and can't believe how far you've come. And that's exciting. Now, sometimes along this journey, you're taking your steps, you're going through, you're cruising. But sometimes you notice in a spiral staircase, the steps aren't all the same. They're not all even. They're not all shaped the same way. And it's because those steps, you're making a turn. You're coming around a bend, right? You aren't sure how far you have to go. You're starting to maybe not be able to see where you started. That feels a little scary. You might feel a little bit lost. Maybe you've stumbled a couple of times running up those steps. And then you start to kind of feel the struggle. Your legs start to feel tired. You start to feel fatigue. That's where you start to enter phase 2. That's the frustration phase. Doubt starts to creep in. You start to question where these stairs are actually taking you. Am I even on the right staircase? Should I be the one even walking up these stairs? Is this for me? Am I worthy of this? Do I want this? I did before, but do I now? Now that it's hard, right? Dialing's hard. No shows are hard. No sales are hard. Declines are hard. Cancellations and chargebacks are hard. People quitting on you is hard. Sometimes the middle looks like failure. Eventually, you start to notice enough of the challenges, enough of those weird steps, that your brain starts to wonder if you're just actually going in a circle. You know you're moving up, but you feel like you're going in a circle. Then you start to focus on the shape of those steps instead of the direction that they're taking you. Then you start to notice, this one's just like the other one. Am I even moving forward? You start to question if it's right because it got hard. You start to forget that the bigger the struggle, the bigger the reward. So you enter into that next phase. The stage where instead of taking the next step up, like you've been doing, even with that doubt creeping in, you've let it consume you enough to where now you stop. You look around. You turn around and you look down. And that's when you've entered the quitting phase. What if I just walk back down the stairs? I know where I've come from. I know what's down there. What if I go back to what's familiar? I know what the last step felt like. I know what the one before that felt like. When it gets hard, when we start to feel that physical discomfort of change, our brains want to take us back to what's comfortable. When we start to question if what we're doing is working, even though we're staying the course, we're trusting that this is going to work, but we haven't seen the results yet according to what we think we should be seeing and when we think we should be seeing it, we start to question. We know what we're leaving behind. We at least know, right? Then we start to think, maybe the grass wasn't so brown over there. Maybe it is kind of green after all, right? Maybe my boss wasn't too bad. Maybe it was okay getting 2 weeks of vacation. At least I knew I was getting a paycheck. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not bad. Being told when I have to be somewhere and when. Being told when I can leave. Being told what kind of car I can drive because of how much I was paid. Being told where I can vacation because of how much I'm paid. Being told how long I can. Being told how often I get to be home. Being told what my job consists of and how soon I can move past that into a better role. Maybe that's not so bad. You start to think, what if I just go back? Now, what many don't realize, 2 things. They don't realize that everyone else goes through this. Everyone goes through this phase. And what differentiates those who win and those who don't is what happens next. This is where growth happens. That moment when you started to feel the cold of being outside of that warm, cozy comfort zone, and you start to wonder, can I handle this? Is this right? And you go back, you stepped away from your growth opportunity. You step forward, that's when you change. You pushed through that moment of being afraid, of trust. You took that step before you even knew that it was there. Maybe it's a little cloudy on that staircase. Maybe it was dark. You feel like it's there. You've been told it's there. You've seen other people that have walked through it and confirmed it's there, but you can't see it for yourself. So that's the moment when you have to decide, am I going to lean in? Am I going to take this opportunity to grow? Or am I going to be afraid and I'm going to go back to what I know? Here's what many don't realize. Our breaking point isn't about us breaking. It's about breaking down that wall in front of you so you can push through. Just when we think we can't take another step for fear of it not being there, we take a deep breath. We take that step anyway. That's when the magic happens, because we did the work we were avoiding. We stayed when every fiber of our being wanted to leave. We kept going when it felt like we were about to walk right off that cliff. The next step then revealed itself. And that's where we enter the success phase, that light bulb moment. Not just the next step shows. Then we start to see the next 3 or 4 steps. There's a clearing. There's a little bit of light we can see. And now we realize we have a view, right? You made it to the first peak in your climb. And because you chose to continue when most already turned around, not knowing how close they were to that view, there's more for you to see. There's more room up there. The view is nicer because you get to savor it for yourself. Maybe you get an awesome client who's been waiting for your call. Maybe you find someone to do this business with you and they get it. They understand what this opportunity is. They're just excited as you. Maybe you write that application and it finally gets instant approved. You finally figured it out. You finally got the client matched based off of what you know and what they're going to get approved for. And it worked. It finally worked. Maybe you earned your first promotion. Maybe you earned a promotion you've missed 7 times. I've been there. Missed 7 times. Maybe you just got a big win. And you finally felt lighter. You finally reached above tree line and you can see around you. It's because you took that next step. It's because you decided to grow. You kept going. When you thought you were going to crumble under the weight of that wall, you broke it. All because you didn't quit. 100% of this business is mindset. You're going to learn the skills you need. You're going to figure out the script. You're going to figure out the quoting tools. You're going to figure out the e-apps. You're going to figure out how to do risk assessments. You're going to figure out how to talk to the carriers. You're going to figure all that stuff out. What differentiates those who go really far and those who don't are the ones that see all that as a means to an end. Meaning, this is all something I'm going to figure out, but I want to get here. I want to get to the top. And I know I'm going to get there. I just have to keep moving forward and not get bogged down in the stuff, the minutia, right? Skills will come as long as the mind stays in it to win it. Now, why did I share these stages with you? It wasn't to scare you. It wasn't to make you feel like you got a long staircase ahead of you. I did it because knowing prepares you. Knowing gives you strength. Knowing gives you perspective. Knowing helps you keep the end in sight. Knowing helps you stay one foot in that excitement phase while the other foot still goes through those other phases, because there's no way around them. You have to go through them. There's no skipping the line, passing go, get out of jail free card. There's none of that. You have to go through it. That's what the learning curve is. That's why it goes like this. You got to go through them. You know now that everyone who's at the top of that staircase that you want to get to walked up the same set of stairs. There's no elevator. They didn't take an elevator. They went up the same set of stairs that you're up. The struggle and the quitting phase hits everybody. It will hit you. You will go through them. And you probably will do it more than once. Because that's what we're doing. We're on a journey. It's not just the top. It continues. You're going to keep learning. You're going to keep getting excited. You're going to keep struggling. You're going to keep breaking through. And you're going to get stronger and stronger and stronger every time you do that. What you now know is you stay in those phases for as long as you decide. You can feel that struggle phase coming on, and you can think to yourself, Paige mentioned this. I think I'm in the struggle phase. That means the quitting phase is coming. And I can either stop, feel sorry for myself, complain, go on a vacation, go hide in bed all day. I can do that. Or I can recognize where I am and I can keep going. I can speed up. I can dial more. I can do more of what got me here because I know the more I do now, the faster I move now, the faster I go through that phase. And I'm into the good stuff. I'm into the success phase. The longer you spend in those phases, the harder they are. And again, you can decide how long you're in there. Keep taking the steps. Know where you are, understand it, feel it, but keep taking the next step, even when you're not sure it's there. That's going to take you where you want to go. That's going to take you to the top of that staircase. Again, the bigger the price, the bigger the reward. The steeper the climb, the better the view. And it's all up to you if you take that road or not. And it's all up to you if you get to the top. So with that, we're going to end a little bit early today. I'm going to give you guys the gift of time to start crawling up those staircases. Let us know what you need today. If this helped you, great. I hope so. Let me know what I can do for you. But we're here. Have a great Monday, guys. See you next time.